Hopefully not.
Not all kids.
Several members can do that.
Let's get started. Welcome to the downtown advisory board meeting for March 5th. And let's do a call to order. Kurt Sun, Deanna Chase, not here. Scott Posner, Christina Jensen, here. Lori McManus,
Here.
Angie Oben, not here. Alan Pollock,
Here.
Ernesto Toscovich, absent. Abigail Whalen, here. And Eddie Fabian. Not here yet. Someone back. Okay, would someone like to make a motion to approve our agenda?
So moved. Second.
And how about a motion for the approval of the January 22nd, 2026 meeting minutes?
Second.
Now is the time if there's anyone from the public, if they would like to make a comment. Is there any?
I'm your city councilor for Ward 1. I guess I'm a member of the public, but I don't have anything to add. I'm here in case you have questions or anything you want to dialogue.
Thanks for being here.
Yeah, absolutely. I missed last month's meeting, so I went to 2 months.
Yeah.
I think I'm back on schedule. Yeah.
Okay, then we're gonna go to our action items, number 6 on our agenda. Do we want to go to A or B first?
Okay,
So, is everyone ready to recommend the Urban Renewal Agency approve the fiscal year 2027 budget for the downtown urban renewal area?
So I'm going to abstain from voting for potential conflict of interest because my firm may be involved in some of the projects that.
I just have a general question. The
Yes.
changes that we saw. The year to date, and stuff like that. Did I know that's just better estimates or? From the agenda that we got for the.
Are you referring to the urban renewal or referring?
From January.
Changes as far as what we got last month to today. I'm aware of the parking changes. Bill, we don't speak to the.
Yeah, there's been an extraordinary number of changes, so I feel that I have to try to keep up with them myself. The point where you look at the actual operating revenues for your operating expenditures. Now, Garden is actually fairly small, 20,000. There is a beginning fund balance of 635,000. In the previous version, we talked about that because downtown parking's been just barely covering its expenses, we haven't been able to set money aside for doing large capital improvement projects and that type of thing. So one version, I wanted to take 450,000 and put it aside in reserve. That's come out now. So that's something we'll have to deal with. The good news though is that projects that have been planned some years back reaching the end of those. We just authorized some projects to move forward, which will complete all the projects that have been kind of outlined, which include like painting the parkades and things like that. And there are some projects to do on the roof that have to be done as far as the seals and that type of thing. And so all that's going to be done. And so now one thing that isn't here is it's the second last item under the regular meetings and operation of structures, parkades facility assessment. So they're going to do an assessment on all the parkades and start planning for time point in which certain projects will have to be done in the future.
Which one?
This is,
Are you going?
No, we're talking about urban renewal.
Yeah.
Not urban parking.
Oh. The.
Yeah, we'll talk about the parking one next. She's just highlighting differences from last time to this time on their renewal.
Yeah. that
You're
was
talking
my-
about the downtown URA.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry, I thought we were talking about
No, not
parking.
right, yeah.
I mean, the year-to-date stuff's probably just updated in terms of like. Now.
Yeah, because I first
Very good
drafted
thing.
this like a couple of months ago,
Yeah,
and so
yeah.
as long as I was redoing it, I put in the current
Okay.
numbers, so yeah, we spent those things.
And then the downtown traffic study was added.
Yes, because I was unclear whether we were paying for that in the URA, whether we were paying for that parking.
Okay.
So it got settled here, so.
That makes sense. Okay, that was the only question. I had.
Okay.
Sorry, thanks.
Sorry about the deal. Parking stuff.
So no one has any other questions? So does someone want to move to approve? Next action item.
Discussion, but
Oh, what?
discussion, but there's
Oh.
discussion.
It is all in favor. Sorry. Are all in favor? Or discussion, I thought we decided nobody had any discussion. I'm sorry,
I may have asked my question out of order.
Oh, no, you were right, you did right. Now we're doing the motion in the second, and then there's discussion after the second.
Okay, so discussion on it. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. I think the motion carried. That was from the proper words for it.
That's right.
All right, yeah. I'm
You
here.
got that. What's that? I understand. Yeah.
On the record.
Okay, so let's go to action item E, and that is, to recommend the city council approve the fiscal year 2027 budget for the downtown parking district.
This one does have differences to it. We already spoke to a lot of it. The main thing that Josh was going to come speak to data like honest building. So we're looking at doing a pilot, a 1-year pilot project for police downtown. So some of the funds have been moved around predominantly from those from the last time. The parking structure improvements, fund that Bill mentioned, that's gone away, as has the bad debt write-off. There was more anticipated, but we're doing that in this current budget. So some of that has shifted to accommodate private program for the added security of downtown. So we'll speak to that at all, Dana? Where is what's the downtown?
That's the
Under
very top,
expenditures.
very first line of
First one.
expenditures.
So it's that, to be decided. Might be looking at the minutes, so it might be further back. There we go. Let's before the survey results. So
That's gonna fund two or two.
It'll be-
Yeah, it's 2 and it's gonna likely start January of 2027, so it's a half a year.
Half a year.
Yeah, yeah, so it'll be a full year, but it's half a year this fiscal year. Half a year next fiscal year, depending on how it goes.
Previous version, like all the way at 300,000 or 50,000. Proposed for park construction improvements, and now we have 0 or. Right, so that 450, 180 of it went to the police, where did the rest of it?
So it still has the parkade facility assessment and the reserve parking meter replacement reserve was part of that formula.
Oh,
Yeah.
Also, the thing that was noticed too, that I think Kurt brought it up last time. Desire for EMS, so we've done the streetscape work, the infrastructure, the light poles. Like it's with, do lighting, but we also have water, so there's interest to get the baskets up, so we realize that. Welcome, Josh. So we've included that as part of the downtown payment beautification. Its contract services 63109. That also includes power wash, so the main thing that has come out of feedback for downtown is security and cleanliness first. So, low budget for additional security with police officers, and then, power washing. There's more. It sounds like there's interest on the downtown group, the street association to look at baskets. We'll coordinate with them to see what their plans are, where what the permitting and that process looks like. So there is funding set aside for that, it's just not specifically.
So I'm being relatively new to the board, can you clarify, at least for downtown, the 1 year pilot, 180,000. Then down at the bottom, you have security of 433,840.
Yeah,
And securities that are contract services, are we
Yes.
contracting with the police department?
no, we'll still retain the 24-hour security that we have had in the parking structures. Elsewhere in downtown.
So that's private control.
Private, right.
It's not so much the downtown.
Right.
What is that? Anticipated 433,000, so that's the control. You can see all those kind of, I know that security people in there. It's a drive by every 6 hours, that's fine.
No, they're actually there.
24/7, and they go between all three. So one guy and they rotate through each of the parkades. So they're
Basically, working the person.
someone in downtown, but there's somewhere in one of the three.
Time there one.
Yeah.
They walk in, they also drive in. Constantly. to each one.
From a messaging standpoint, obviously, we've all heard about concerns about using parking structures because I don't feel safe. How well has this been messaged that this is happening? Is there signage that this is happening? Just curious, as far as the message to the public. Where people see.
I think it's a good point. It is one of those things that we have to dispel because, of course, things don't indicate it, but there is still a perception. So the more presence we have out there, I think that it's to put it and say, we have the security. I think the added police presence will help. Josh is here now. I don't know, Josh, do you wanna?
Well, can I just say something about the security? So we have heard that and people wanted to know, you just have more visibility. So we do ask them to have their lights on when they're coming through the parkade, so people kind of see that visibility. When they're walking, of course, you get to see them in walking next to you, but so that is a part of that visibility, but we could certainly do kind of a PR messaging around the arcades.
Yeah, but I don't know how much signs cost, but signage at the entrances that say these premises patrol 24/7 or whatever,
Yeah.
I think, but.
Yeah.
The police for downtown isn't any going reach stuff, right? Boat patrol.
You want me to cover it a little bit?
Yeah.
So one thing we're looking at as part of the Safe, Clean, Healthy program pilot, is adding some community policing officers. In this case, for the nexus with downtown, so just to be more present in downtown, not specifically the parkades, just the downtown areas. So 2 officers doesn't get 24/7. We leave it to the police chief or the police administration to determine what that schedule would look like. They might be open in, but I'm not sure. But it's something that the city manager and the leadership team is going to be proposing to the budget committee and the city council. So it comes to you first. So you're the first one to actually hear about it. So Tanya actually probably has no idea. We're looking at a 1-year pilot, so it's not a forever obligation of the downtown parking fund. If it's successful, it could be, and there's funding available. But we're really looking at seeing, starting January 27, so giving the police department some time to onboard and recruit. What 2 additional community police officers would look like, change the food.
And if that doesn't begin until January 27, what's our fiscal year?
The July 1st is.
So is this really for 6 months of that? That 180,000?
The entry level police officer is about 180,000, it's not goes to 2
Is it,
controlling of that? Are the boundaries already established? Like, what's the downtown? Is it within the URA, is it within the parking district, or like, what is?
So the funding comes from the downtown parking district. That's not to say that if there was emergency in South Salem, there are two officers on Sherwood, like they're gonna come there, right? But the intent is additional to the normal patrol schedule is having two officers in downtown.
And is it bikes? Or do we know that yet?
So two officers for a bike patrol could be a little problematic, just not having enough numbers. So I think it'll probably be some combination.
And in future years, it would be 360,000.
Right, yeah.
Are they pulling from the same fund as the REACH program? Or is it different? And are they tied in with like the HST, the officers that work with the hospice?
So, I mean, they're working with the police department, so they're connected definitely with the homeless service team. I'm sure there'd be some kind of referral system. So we can have the right response there, so if they identified a need, they would reach out, well, maybe it's an HST officer, maybe it's the REACH program. I know they're very active responding to calls, so I think one thing that our 911 center and the fire department is looking at is sending the right response to each call. So it could really depend, but often, police officers need for a response, so these two officers would be able to have that.
And is it just to have them closer to the downtown area in case of emergency calls? In the past, as a business owner, it was kind of alluded that unless somebody is actively stabbing, they did not see it a priority.
Yeah, which, I mean, I think one thing about having this additional patrol downtown is looking at more proactive policing, so, being a present, identifying situations, certainly responding to calls if there's anyone calls downtown. But they would be more able to respond to lower level situations or concerns probably more effectively.
Okay.
But you're right, it is challenging, we're struggling to respond to 911 calls, so it's hard to get past that. So this is an effort to try to get on the proactive side a little bit.
Yeah, I guess a concern of mine would be like, are we paying for them to prioritize downtown? And if they are pulled elsewhere, knowing that will always take priority, like how often are they actively in downtown?
Yeah, so something we'll monitor, certainly from a funding perspective, so we don't want officers funded by the downtown parking district to be pulled elsewhere.
Yeah.
So it's something, finance will monitor and reporting on. Yeah, I say if there's an emergency in South Salem, they're gonna get pulled, that wouldn't be the normal practice, that would be, if there's a significant incident where everyone on duty end up pulling other people on duty, where they respond, but normal course, not going to go down. Shot around town.
Thank you.
Could we look to have someone from the police department in our October meeting or something? Give an update, bring to us an update of, here's the plan, this is how we're gonna train the officers, and this is what we're telling them their responsibilities are, just so we also have that idea, so when we get asked questions like, we at least have an answer.
Yeah, October might be a little bit early, but we could certainly schedule on November or somewhere in there.
I just said October because we end up a lot of times not having it in November. It gets shaky in there. But if we had a meeting before it all kind of starts, it would be great to, because I think messaging for sure is gonna be a big deal with that, and just to downtown business owners so that they do understand what they're getting out of this, and parking meters. Love them or hate them, it's giving us a benefit.
Yeah, right. I think that's good timing too, because we'll get into the busy season, so to have that added evidence, yeah.
I guess one caveat, right, so we're asking for your support, it also has to go to the budget committee of the city council, so. So the caveat that it has to get through that process, that's something you can be involved in, so if you wanna come and talk at the budget committee, that's always appreciated, but the same with the city council, during the public hearing.
I would just say from my perspective, Christine, you're asking the right questions, just in terms of what is that reactive versus proactive model? What we've heard from the police chief is that the point of the community policing model is to step up that proactive. So I personally see that as someone, you know, quote unquote, walking the beat, you know, as a visible presence downtown all the time, isn't, you know, necessarily driving around on patrol and then responding to things in downtown, but as someone who's getting to know the business owners, understands the flow of what's happening in downtown, is sort of that constant presence. And if someone was operating in that way, I think they would really be tied into the lieutenant who's running the HST and the other ways where we're doing sort of less responsive, you know, responses, responding to 911 and more trying to get ahead of things. So I think we've heard from downtown business owners, they want that sort of presence in downtown too. And people have thought of it like, oh, is it the bike cops? Well, yeah, in one way, but it's more of a mentality than it is a piece of equipment. And so I think that's what I would expect just kind of in this fly, but based on what we've heard from the department, so.
My dad is a downtown resident, more and more people living downtown, but in addition to the business community and getting to know them would be to know the
Yeah,
residential community.
absolutely. Downtown resident myself.
So are we ready to
Yeah, if there are any.
look for, any more questions? Good ones? Yeah, lots changing, you know, we have some money now. So, was just so unusual. So does anyone want to go ahead and make a motion to recommend, to city council approve the fiscal year 2027 budget for the downtown parking district?
So moved.
Second.
And now we have to say, discussion anyone? So everyone in favor, or not, say aye. Anyone opposed? No opposition. Okay, so that's passed. Okay, and then let's talk about, if anyone is interested in canceling the March 26th, meeting.
Great idea. Unless you want to, you can have two. That's usually reserved, what, like December, where we have it?
So,
Spring break.
there's no, because Tori, we don't have any major action on it. Anyway, this was the biggest one of the whole year, right? So, okay. So December, March.
I make a motion to cancel our March 26th meeting.
Okay, so that's.
Christina.
And everyone, any discussion? Everyone in favor, say aye. Opposed? None. Okay, so our next meeting then is gonna be April 23rd. And we're done. We're making these meetings so short.
Well, I'm done.
Okay.
I have a few things.
We have presentations, but I mean.
Yeah, that's it.
We're just moving right through it.
So Kathleen Swan, she was at the last meeting, she's sick this week, so she's able to make it. She said she'll be here at the April meeting. She did share that Capital City Retro Fest was awarded the 2025 Music Festival of the Year by Oregon Festival Events Association. So that's great news, and they anticipate coming again in August of 2026. So she can speak more to it.
Tori, was that the collection of tribute bands?
I'm not sure what it was. She could tell you. I didn't attend it myself. Did anyone else?
I didn't attend it, but
I think I saw the tribute band.
yeah, it sounded like cover bands of retro.
I was hoping, I'm very curious personally, they just announced a Salem, Oregon, like, Slightly Stupid, The Elevators, all these big reggae artists, and I was curious if that's something that's at the river.
What was it called? The Reagan Festival?
There's just a bunch of really well-known artists that knock out 80 bones, the chords and stuff, and they're, it was in Salem, Oregon, it's there. stops the summer, so. Unfortunately, Tom Boone said it's probably it. So.
So what's the drawback of the amphitheater? What doesn't it have? I mean, it's brand new.
So I can't really speak to it. I've attended some downtown like business meetings where people have tried to track the AMP stuff, like higher production, speak to like the level of like electricity, like what they can support.
I can speak to it.
Okay.
But the experience, there's no backstage or restrooms. So anytime you have an event there, you gotta bring in backstage, it's a well artist or bowl or RV. There's no restroom facilities outside of the carousel. That's the fun. But, there's no fencing. So if you're going to have paid admission, you have to bring in fencing in order to control the crowd. So none of that stuff's in place that typically need for a ticketed event. So there's a lot of expense up front. And then there isn't a lot of infrastructure built in for sound, certainly not for concert level or for lighting. So you really have to build the space out in its entirety every time you put on a show. It's just very expensive compared to going to the fairgrounds amphitheater, which all that stuff's in place. A lot of that. Restrooms, gating, security, much easier. Those aren't things that couldn't be added in the future, but very good circle right now.
Very good, so much work into it.
Yeah.
Just to see it underutilized this.
Yeah. So our company does the movies in the park in the summer, and there's a lot that has to be brought in every single month. It's a labor of love, but it does take a lot, and then that's free to the public, so there doesn't have to be fencing.
Right. Well, you can ruin the whole park. That's from the fence, you know.
That's
How you do it, there was definitely discussion during the process of fencing. Chosen not to put it in. And even the back house stuff we had at one point, but it was taken out.
And there, is a permanent, nice iron fencing more attractive than every time you have a temporary event, like a cyclone.
Those are.
But that's general.
I think there's probably some sort of compromise with spending a ton of money, but. Make it a URA project. For it to happen. So it'd be good to understand whether or not those are. Real reasons why that's stopping, or is it other reasons? Or both, or combination, right? But before you go make an investment to spend much money to go put in back of house and restrooms and fencing and stuff.
Well, and I think talking to those groups that are putting on the festivals down there once or twice during the summer, there's the Christian Music Festival, the EVACs with the Mexican Music Festival, so they put up the fencing and everything once, and they do like Saturday, Sunday or whatever. Talking to those groups about their experience. Like what they didn't value.
Is that something the parking here funds would be able to?
Very infrastructure,
Outside of the boundary,
what's that?
it's outside of the downtown boundary. Downtown parking boundary. But it could be
It's not
away, right?
Yeah. I think it'd be, better if it would be removal funds than parking. Some. Street.
Surveys or discussion with all these groups and artists, that come through that get that feedback information afterwards.
That's a good question.
Of like, yeah, this was great. They said, would like to have a bathroom.
Hold on to that. April, so you can answer it, yeah. There are planned improvements for the park. I was trying to go through to see what specifically, that we could also have Robert Romanek Parks share. Maybe at the same time, I'll see if I can attend, and we'll get an update on Kathleen, on what's needed and what events are planned, and see what part we can serve.
In April, you have block 50, block 45 updates.
So it's soon for that, might be better in June. As far as, right now, we're just involved in environmental work for block 50, 45. They're doing some due diligence work and finance stack. Figuring out the approach, so it's not one that they, hopefully, once we get a little more traction on like watering wells and things for the closer negotiations.
Might be, which is 50, which is 40.
So 50 is across,
50 is only across 345, so.
Yeah. You don't know your city block number.
I'm trying to learn.
But if you're down the building, we'll make up a new.
Yeah. Really new folks, that's they're a former Union Gospel Mission building. Saffron, one of the buildings that were across the street, required. So now we've gone through the process of selecting a developer, due diligence, environmental work. Not a lot of movement, there's still a lot of things happening. Preparation for this project that we highlighted. Built all of those, yeah. And then similarly, block 45 is off the ground street, commercial. That one has the sign on it. This one, I think, when we have it in ours, probably actually get sign is technically can't have signage. It's supposed to be like a translucent construction screen. Those are kind of deep, but yeah, we can probably that's the one that came out here. Highlights it's the one.
Survey.
Yeah, as you have a chance to go through the feedback and the survey. A lot of participants, 2009.
Visitor part. Percentage of visitor response, so this was 81% of the respondents.
Yeah. So I didn't include, because there's a whole breakdown of all the people that shared their zip codes with pages worth. So I'm happy to share those electronically. Let's see what the zip code specifically.
I guess what I'd be curious maybe with that is what's the Salem area that goes and
Yeah, sure.
just is like,
We can see we can.
is visitor
drop
somebody
some
from West Salem?
Yeah.
Or is visitor somebody from Idaho?
I can see we can put it in Excel. Populate the chart.
Yeah, okay, so the pie charts.
Sorry.
Was it collected like on BP or how was this?
It was, yeah, onward, there was a scan. As I moved through like the parking structure, elevator, moving downtown. So their cell phone.
It's fair to say generally when people are upset, they're more likely to reply to a survey, but it is discouraging to see 70% of people at this point still say that they'll change in parking is their experience for them. Hopefully that number will start to shift. If we have a starting point. Yeah.
I would be curious if some of the folks, because some of the conversations I'm having. Customers and stuff that come in. Some of them don't, like, once they heard it was paid apart, they just stopped coming all together. And then they've been spreading and they're just like, oh yeah, you don't want to pay for it. So I'd be curious to know how many people said that it changed their experience, but they also haven't given it a try.
I will say, I have the similar feelings about surveys in general, because they are, in how they're framing, it's subjective. We are looking at, we have like a parking utilization. This, with this movement to paid parking lots, we do have to have a parking structure to utilize, so those are definitely increasing, and that's towards the rate that we have. But there's also user movement itself. So it's one thing to say like, I hate it, I'm parking, and you're down here all the time. So it'd be nice to see, that type of information. So we might be seeing if there's a means to tap into that for that episode or other. How offset received, similar to safety concerns. There's this perception of safety, we do have the reported instances where so we can measure those things. And then it's a matter of communicating, making sure that they have the presence and they are aware of the security. Similarly, the paid parking. Understand how the system works. Well, friendly to users. And they can go time. So
Initial, I'm not gonna put up on every, we would say.
Well, yeah, one would hope once we get the pilot program in place for extra police patrols, that they can be made clear that this is being paid for by your. Maybe parking of that will, that kind of messaging is important to understand that not just putting money into the pockets of the city. It's going forward. Any baskets and police officers and whatever, we're spending money on messaging that.
I do think, like to your point about the signage and the parking structure, that idea, the same kind of idea. If you see those things happening downtown, you see them cleaning street blocks, you see, the decoration kind of go up, you see a police officer walking around. I mean, you start to see the stuff with your own eyes,
Right.
Or maybe it's worth it.
Yeah.
A couple bucks.
Yeah, and everything moves slowly, so the times when it start paying for parking, when they start seeing changes, it's months, but hopefully, that's why I hope that number over time starts to shift when they see the result.
Now, it's strange too, though, because people are used to driving through downtown and there's cars everywhere parked, right? Now there's empty blocks. And so that gives a weird perception, like, well, there's nothing, to be here now. Because, everybody's now parking, employees are all parking like supposed to park. But it does give a weird impression. Across the street from my office on Center Street, Macy's, there's nobody parking there, ever. So.
Nearby, somebody is paying for it.
So, so it's different. So you feel like there's nothing going on in downtown because the streets are empty,
But I say.
But it's like, wait, no, there's a place for you to park now to go to where you want to go. But that'll take time.
You look at at least the 2 blocks of commercial in Liberty and maybe 6 blocks running, south from there, kind of in between. It's always full. Like it's from, maybe not first thing in the morning, but it never really was first thing in the morning anyways, because I'll have, breakfast meetings downtown and then so you can find a spot. But by the time I'm leaving, it's usually starting to get full. And then, you come through around 5 or after 5. I've had to actually circle the block a couple times to find a spot to park. And to me, it's kind of like the usage is there. People are adjusting.
Yeah, with my tweet,
Yeah, well, that's the other thing, we do see. It's going up. So yeah, as soon as we have like a full year, we can start to track it. See now, as soon as you come out of the holidays and stop to January, but yeah, it's just, it keeps going. Yeah.
So this being like our first year of actually having the revenue from meters, it's crazy because we could barely find funding for security for the garages prior to this, so it's like, it was so necessary, and that's what the public's not seeing, but those are
Because it's just, it all falls back to, it's just city budget things.
Yeah. Well, and I think just from the peanut gallery, I think both Kirk and Scott bring up a good point. And one thing I've suggested to the staff is using BB Salem app to connect people to those benefits. So as we start to see those benefits being put into place, like you press pay, and the splash comes up and coming this month, flower baskets or a picture of someone cleaning the sidewalk, and this is what your $1.85 is funding this month. So I think capturing people when you have them as a captive audience, telling them what's happening with it, and there's an officer walking the beat, I think is probably going to address that concerns. I will say, the first time this is just a personal story, when I downloaded the Beat Salem app, I think I was probably one of the first people to download it. And there was like one review on the App Store. And the review said, I've lived in Salem for 50 years. This app is being used to enrich the city councilors, can't tell me any different. And 1 star, and I'm like, oh, why should I? Waiting for my monthly bill. Yeah. Like, this isn't true. It's the App Store.
I haven't heard anyone. Wait. To pay for parking, but I have heard like meter issues in terms of like actual like usage. That, I know there's some kind of tracking, like tickets issue, things like that, and but what I hear is like tracking, receipts won't print, or the context meter number and you posted on the meter, or won't accept the payment for whatever reason. They're not sure what to do with that point. I don't know how that kind of like driven survey is.
Yeah, so we do get notice, there is a way to communicate if there's a particular, parking, because we have had work when it's a jam, so. It needs a coin, whatever, so there is a way to report it. And it is captured as far as like location. Frequency, that kind of thing. Yeah, and the occasional apps, you know, I use the app all the time, down here all the time. My daughter lives downtown. It's funny because we have conversations and people that aren't downtown all the time, and like hear frustration about the app. I love the app. I can use Apple Pay. I don't have to put my credit card information in like you know, pay for Portland. I think you're gonna get all that kind of feedback. I have done it in areas where I feel like my cell phone was a little spotty. I waited for it to go, or it was going to pay and then I had to repeat or swipe out and do it again. I think those glitches will happen. If it happens more commonly, then you get notification pretty quickly when you try to fix it. But as far as like individual users, yeah, as soon as we find out that there's a core jam or something new, we can to address it.
Have you heard of any credit cards being compromised? I heard like 2 instances recently, people that have lost their credit card information or something, for them actually physically using the terminals. Is that
I don't.
I haven't heard any. Nope.
I'll pass it along.
Yeah, if they should definitely be contacting the parking services, because they.
Yeah, I asked why you didn't. So.
Abigail, just there on this page, there is a list of all of the
That's-
numbers,
that's
things
what-
like that.
Used to have. Yeah, we had to agree by our April meeting.
Probably. Cause it's, what day is it?
Yeah, it should be April.
April? I
Yep.
mean, it would be April, but, end of April, yeah.
It should be kind of March.
Yeah.
So. Good information.
Yeah. One of those next meeting topics, you guys had asked about. Closer to the site of the race to Center Street, I talked to them and they said that July. would be better as far as timing. So that works for you guys. Is that one clear for the major construction? Yeah.
Oh, that is gonna work.
Before or after. I'm not sure of the time of this region, I gotta check.
challenge.
Where I might suggest even a quick briefing on the connection to Rickman Run, Pringle.
Oh, right.
Because there's gonna be a open house at the end of the month, talk about the bridge that goes under Commercial Street, connects Rickman Park to the river. But maybe
Yeah,
that might be something to discuss.
yeah, the project manager reached out to me and then we'll do a contact, so we'll coordinate.
Yeah, that's also the street improvements, something that next schedule is like our street, it's haven't come to. But it's just
We might be-
one street up here,
Yeah, they were going to work.
dangles out,
Yeah.
quick work, it's great.
we might be doing it in the summer, like,
We'll keep this.
they won't.
I think they try to do 3 block bases. Starts. Very cool, we'll have an update on parks, parks both for the other maintenance projects are planned within events. And then I'll see if we can get someone to update us on streetscape work and another people.
Like I said, we're zooming through everything. So, I guess the meeting. And thank you.